Welcome back, everyone. I'm Bailey.
And I'm Raquel.
And this is the Whole Shebang Podcast.
Okay, welcome everybody.
Welcome back. Today we are on episode 3, which is titled Friendship Adventures, Stories from the Past. So today we thought it'd be fun story time. Hopefully not as deep, maybe as deep as last time.
Yeah, we kind of went on a little tangent last episode.
That's okay.
I'll take responsibility for that.
So today we are going to talk about how we first met in 8th grade and what has led to us being friends for 18 years.
18 years.
18 years.
Try not to think about it too hard.
That doesn't help. You know, I don't think much anyway.
Yeah. So 18 years ago.
18 years ago.
Once upon a time. 18 years ago.
Once upon a time in a very cold Canadian climate.
A whole bunch of random grade 8 classes from these small little elementary schools were forced to go to the one and only college in town to participate in some sort of college information day. I don't even remember what we were doing there.
I believe it was drunk driving.
No, that was so when we went, we were all divided into groups, and they had us do these different activities and things to see what kind of the classes were offered at the college. Don't know why they were trying to get us integrated into college already in grade 8, but they were. I mean, we'll talk about that in the future. But we had never met before.
No, we were from 2 completely different elementary schools.
And we were in this classroom, half from my school, half from yours.
Yes.
They were trying to stimulate, I think it was drunk driving.
I do believe it was drunk driving.
So you would know what it was like. Or was it to experience what it was like to have blindness? I don't remember. It was one or the other.
It was either you were blind or you were impaired.
Something like that.
Or it was because they needed to...
Because they had these foggy goggles.
Yeah, that was meant to, like, distort your vision.
Yeah. So Bailey and I, being the lovely little loners that we are, did not get paired up with anyone we knew from our school because they said, okay, pick partners. So we were both stuck there sitting alone and sad. And they said, you two can pair up together.
And being from... I was super shy.
I was horribly shy.
As a kid. And so everyone else in my class had partnered up with somebody. Everyone else in your class had partnered up with somebody. Mm-hmm. And then they were stuck with 2 shy kids that...
Yeah,
didn't know how to communicate. No.
All of my friends were in the year below me, and they were not a part of this field trip. So I felt very alone. And then we kind of got smushed together.
We did. We got smushed together.
And of course, because we were the last ones to have partners, they also didn't have enough of these really weird fog glasses for us to use.
Right, but they still needed us to participate in the activity, even though I'm pretty sure both of us would have been completely fine.
Just sitting there watching everybody else. No, we had to participate. So the idea was one person in the group would wear the glasses and the other person would help direct them to make sure they didn't hit anything while they were walking around. But for some reason, they decided, since they didn't have enough goggles for us, that I would wear your glasses.
And I am very blind.
So it was the blind leading the blind, because her glasses are so strong that the walls move inward.
Yeah, they don't do that for me.
Well, they do that for me, and I will never put them on again because that was an instant headache.
It was funny. We
stumbled down the hall.
We both stumbled. We were both drunk or blind.
Very blind.
And so I forget what we had to walk around the school for. We had to walk around the school for something.
Yeah, I think we had to find like a checkpoint and then make it back was the idea.
I think so. And we were both hardly talking.
And you were supposed to have one person directing again, and the other was supposed to be impaired. But we were both impaired, which was very problematic.
I don't think they realized how blind I actually was.
Very. The answer is very.
They had decided that I was going to lead you wearing my glasses.
Which was a disaster.
No. And so our friendship, she holds it over me to this day, was cemented when we had to go down a set of stairs.
The evil flight of stairs. We should go back to the college and check out those stairs and like put a picture of us.
We should.
There.
We should. And it would be 18 years starting here.
Ugh, the stairs.
So what had happened, she was going down the stairs. Mm-hmm. And take this with a grain of salt. This was when my child brain, was not fully developed, and I thought it would be hilarious
To give me a little nudge.
a little push.
And what did that
down
little
the
push
stairs.
do?
You fell
A couple stairs down, yep.
a couple stairs down. You didn't hurt yourself. You're fine.
And you laughed so much.
I was dying. It was so funny. It was so funny. But anyway, we cleared that. That is how we met.
And
So
that got us talking. And then you started telling me about all the people in your school.
yes. Yeah, that was basically it. We only knew each other for maybe 2 hours on one day in grade 8.
Yep.
And then we ended up going to the same high school.
Left a memorable impression.
I don't see why it left a memorable impression.
I wonder why.
Do you not almost die on a daily basis?
When I'm with you, yes.
That is not my fault.
Uh-huh, sure.
That is coincidence.
Sure it is. Sure it is.
It's coincidence. You're not superstitious.
Uh-huh.
So stop trying to make me the devil.
Oh, but you are.
No, I'm an angel.
Uh-huh, sure. Anyway, we saw each other again in high school, in grade 9.
Yeah, we didn't really hang out in grade 9.
No, but we had mutual friends.
We did. We had mutual friends. Again, I think I made one of our friends in art class, who was then a mutual friend of both of us, and that's how we started kind of meeting.
We'd occasionally see each other a lot at the bus while we were waiting for the bus to come pick us up at the end of the day. And then grade 10, we started hanging out a bit more.
Yeah. And I think by that time, we both had one very common mutual friend.
Yeah, and I don't think we had any classes together, though, until grade 11.
Did we not have history? Oh, no, I wasn't in your history class.
No,
Never
you
mind.
weren't in my history class. No, so we started hanging out again. In grade 11, we started spending time. Did you join band in grade 11 or grade 12?
I think that was grade 11 I joined band.
Okay, yeah, because it was once you joined band that we started really spending time together.
Yeah, and messing around a lot.
Yeah.
As soon as we got spares,
And once we got cars,
that was the end of high school.
and we started skipping class.
Education is important.
Yeah, don't skip class.
Yeah,
But we skipped class.
we definitely did.
We skipped advanced placement classes,
We did, and then I got caught at the bus stop
which is so funny.
by said teacher of the...
Shout out to that teacher. He was awesome.
He was amazing. He was a great teacher. I do believe he does remember me till this day. I have seen him.
I was going to say, is he one of the people whose dogs you groom?
I used to groom his dog.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Yeah, his class was amazing. I did 0 work in that class and passed.
Yeah, I loved his class.
His class was so much fun. My favorite part of his class.
I was just going to say, tell the story.
So my favorite part of his class is I was paired up with 2 of my other friends.
Uh-huh. I was sick that day.
You were sick, and so we had to do a presentation and then go up in front of the class and present.
So
said
you
presentation.
guys planned the presentation the day before while I was gone. I think I had a dentist appointment or something. And then the next day I was there, but because I hadn't been the day before, I just got to watch all the presentations.
Yeah.
And you guys went up, and the 2 of them were doing the presentation, and you were just standing there, not moving, dead-eyed, staring at our teacher.
We had done all the work together, but the talking parts, when we divided the talking parts, they divided them between the both of them, and I had like maybe 3 lines to say.
And then at the end of it, he said, very good, why are you standing up here, Bailey? What's your purpose?
Right? And I looked him square in the face, and I said, "Sir, I am eye candy."
I'm just up here for eye candy.
Yeah. He laughed so hard he started slapping his knee.
It was really funny.
It was. He remembers me for that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think you probably made his week.
I think I made his life.
Just the most random thing ever.
You can't tell me you have another student come up and say that to
I think he was trying to be critical and you just ran with it.
You can't criticize me. I'm up here. I did the work. I just didn't speak.
And you're like, I'm just going to stand here and look pretty.
I passed.
Yeah, I know you passed. I don't know how.
I don't know how either. I didn't read a book in high school.
Yeah.
Not a single one.
Sorry, everybody.
I remember flipping through, we were told to read a book called The Shipping News.
I didn't read that either.
I don't think it was me, you, and then our other friend.
Uh-huh.
And we each decided we were going to take a portion of the book. One of us was going to read the beginning, one of us was going to read the middle, and one of us was going to read the end. So we didn't have to suffer. If you have ever read The Shipping News and you like that book, I think you need psychological help.
Yeah.
It was so dry.
It was boring.
So, anyways, that's what we were going to do. None of us read the book.
I think I read, like, a chapter.
Yeah. One I do think I read like a little bit and then I got bored. I was not doing that. Mm-hmm. So when it came time for our final presentation, I remember leafing through the book, looking for names of what to put into our presentation and trying to quickly reference all said names that I was finding to characters and what they were about.
This is before it was common to put book reviews and things on the internet.
Oh, yeah. Like we're
old.
We're 1990s kids.
Yeah.
Internet was
there, but it wasn't.
It was there, but
I mean, SparkNotes only got you so far.
Even SparkNotes. Like, I had dial-up.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting anywhere fast.
No,
I had to either read the book or just, I was screwed.
Yeah, I kind of got my mom to read a lot of books in high school and then tell me about them. Do you remember that essay we had to write in grade 12 about the imagery in the poem, and you wrote that the poem had no imagery?
Okay, you know how we talked about how I don't read labels?
Yeah.
I don't read assignments either. I read the assignment wrong. I thought the assignment was describe how this poem has no imagery. And I did all my homework 8 a.m. when my mom dropped me off at school that morning. And I handed that assignment in and he handed it back. And that was the question. What do you mean this poem doesn't have imagery?
That was so funny to read back.
And then I actually read the question and I realized I was so wrong.
I mean, it's an interesting take.
Yeah, I don't think I passed that one. I think that was one assignment I didn't pass.
No, didn't you get a C or something?
I think I got a 70.
Okay, that's a pass.
Not a good pass.
That's a B minus.
I don't know. If it wasn't in the 80s, it wasn't good. Okay?
Nerd.
I liked to be on the honor roll.
I wasn't even on honor roll.
I was on honor roll. You weren't on honor roll?
No, you are such a nerd. How am I the one who's still in school?
And I didn't study. I didn't study at all.
I hate you so much.
I would do that cram session 5 minutes before we'd go in. I never had to... If we had what they have in place now with exams...
Yeah.
Where if you have that
you
mark,
would never have...
I would have never had to have taken an exam.
Well, you know what? I feel less awful about that biology test now.
No, you were a dick. You still owe me $5.
I don't owe you none.
Interest. It has now gone up to probably like 50. Dinner on you.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. So for context, we were in the same science class.
Biology class.
Biology. Yeah. We were in biology.
Grade 11?
Yeah, grade 11. We had a horrible teacher. I did not like the teacher. So we had decided it was me, you, and another friend of ours.
And he had really hard tests, and he would ask us things that we did not know.
No, and he didn't teach. Regardless, we had to take his class. And so we had decided that was it a test or was it the exam?
It was a test.
So for the test, we had decided between the three of us that we were going to take it, and whoever didn't cheat and got the highest mark got $5.
Yep.
And I didn't cheat.
You didn't cheat.
You two cheated.
I didn't cheat. We're not saying that on any sort of podcast because I'm still in education.
You had a note.
I helped cheat.
That you passed between you. And then when I asked what it was that you guys were holding, you shoved it in your mouth and said gum.
Banana flavored gum. It was disgusting.
Flavored.
We sat there chewing on it for 10, 20 minutes.
Because it was paper.
Yeah, with the answers.
With the answers.
But again, air quotes, I never cheated once in my life on a test. No.
And I asked you for a piece of said banana flavored gum, and you're like, no, we just ran out. And I was like, oh, that sucks. You guys are assholes. But then I didn't find out that you guys cheated until I sat in class the next day. Or
It was
whenever
not.
that was.
It was like months later.
And I messaged you.
It was the last day of class.
And I messaged you because you left me in. There was a girl in the class that we couldn't stand, and being alone with her was a no-go. But so I messaged you because you weren't there. The class hadn't even started yet, but I'm sitting down. Both of them aren't there. So I messaged, where are you? Oh, we're at Starbucks. I'm like, Kate, dope. I'll come to Starbucks. What Starbucks? You're like, oh, we got a ride.
Yeah, we got driven.
And so you were like in the middle of town.
Yup.
And I had no way to make it, and the teacher just walked in the door. I was going to walk out.
You were stuck there.
Yeah, and that's when you said, oh, by the way, we took that $5 you gave us to get the Starbucks, and we cheated.
Yeah, we conspired together.
I was so mad. I was so mad.
Oh, good times, good times. She's glaring at me now. You can't see this, but it's
Of course
fine.
I'm glaring. I will hold that over you till our grave.
Hey, I didn't try to murder you, so...
That only happened once.
This week.
When did I try and murder you this week?
When I slept over and you had me sleep on an air mattress that completely deflated, and I woke up being smothered by it with a metal bar in between my back.
I cannot control the air. Mm-hmm. I can't control what the bed does. It's an inanimate object. Mm-hmm. It's your fault.
Sure.
It's your fault.
Uh-huh. So yeah, high school, a lot of band, a lot of shenanigans in band.
A lot of shenanigans. Yeah, we were pretty active in high school, and then given our later years, we were pretty active outside of school. So moving on, after high school, we continued to do
Yeah,
things.
I moved to a different province.
You did. You moved to Vancouver.
Yeah, so into British Columbia. So our friendship was long distance and in the summer.
Long distance, yeah, and in the summer, because you would come back for the summer.
Yeah. And then we started hanging out quite a bit after I left.
We did, but it wasn't until... I don't think we started hanging out until I started trying to do YouTube, Pokemon Go.
We started hanging out a little bit before that, because I remember coming to your first apartment.
Yeah, but it was never like a...
No, we went camping before the YouTube.
We did. We did go camping before the YouTube.
But it wasn't, like it is now.
Yeah, our friendship, it wasn't like it was now.
It keeps
to be
growing.
Fair, our friendship has grown exponentially in the past
Couple of years.
But that's more because I've been trying to be present more in our friendship instead of just...
But yeah, so then we started doing fun, weird little adventures. And we'll start by talking about the day Pokemon Go came out.
The day Pokemon Go came out.
It's going to make us sound like huge nerds now.
Huge nerds, but I am an avid Pokemon fan. My first Pokemon game ever was Pokemon Red.
Ooh,
that I got for the Game Boy. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even Game Boy Color. It was just Game Boy.
I didn't get to play Pokemon until Diamond and Pearl, but I was a fan since I was a kid, and I used to pretend to challenge my cousin who would pretend to be a gym leader, and we would have imaginary Pokemon. We would battle against each other.
When I first got the Pokemon game, I did not have the connectors to connect my Game Boy to somebody else's.
Oh,
and I think
sad.
the only time I ever beat a Pokemon game, again, ADHD, was when my mom would go and beat the gyms for me.
That's so funny.
Because I couldn't do it and I'd give up. So she would go play the Pokemon game for me to get through the gym so I can go.
The first time I ever played a Pokemon video game, and I told you this story, and I actually did tell our friend the other day about this. So I was babysitting for her parents, and this was ages ago, I think before high school even, and she had, we her and I talked about this, and she said it was Pokemon Emerald. And she was not very far in the game, but I snuck into her room and found her Game Boy, and I figured, why not turn it on and see what it's like. So I caught a Poochyena. If you know what Pokemon is, that you'll know what I mean. Very, very, like, first route. Like, she was not very far. But that was the first Pokemon I ever caught on a video game, and it was very exciting. And I didn't save anything, put it away, hid it. Just told her literally a week ago for the first time that I did that. And she thought it was so funny. And she says, why did you tell me before? I was like, because it was an embarrassing little secret.
Dirty little secret.
Dirty little secret. I was babysitting at the time. They were asleep. Their cat was following me around, meowing, would not shut up. And that was also the time the power went off, and I was stuck at their house with no cell phone, nothing to do, and it was dark. So, in my defense, sneaking through my friend's room was, something to do.
Yeah, something to do. I can't say I've ever done something like that.
Well, you're a goody two-shoes.
I am a goody two-shoes.
But yeah, so Pokemon Go came out. We were very excited.
We were very excited. I thought this was going to be a game that was going to change my life.
Well, did it? No.
No, I only play occasionally.
When you're on vacation.
When I'm on vacation and have time and I remember, because I'm not soul-suckingly tired. The way I decided to commemorate Pokemon Go coming out.
Well, first off, I was living with my parents in the country, so of course there's no Pokestops or Pokemon anywhere.
I also lived probably about 40 minutes away from your house.
Yeah, quite far.
Quite far, but this game came out and I was determined.
We were going to go into town to find Pokestops to catch Pokemon.
But we didn't even go into town.
No.
We went into the small outer town outside of town.
Still better than where we were at.
Still better. But why don't you tell them your impression of what I did pulling up to your house?
Yeah, so I was waiting for you. I knew when you were coming, and then you sent a text saying, I'm here. So I went outside, and you opened the car window, and you flipped your baseball cap backwards, and you blared the Pokemon theme song and said, get in, bitch, we're catching Pokemon.
Oh.
And I just kind of stood there and stared at you for a good minute, trying to comprehend what was happening.
It was the perfect moment. You know how some situations you have and you're like, this feels right, like a TV moment that you could recreate.
It was so bizarre.
That was what I thought it was. I thought we could recreate a Pokemon moment, and it did. You remember?
I remember, and then we didn't catch any Pokemon, really.
No.
Maybe like 2 or 3.
And all the gyms were already taken.
Yeah, it sucked.
It was horrible. We got ice cream, though.
We did get ice cream.
We did.
Really great ice cream there.
Always. Every summer.
Well, that's a Pokemon Go adventure. Not that exciting, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, not that exciting. I do have a tendency to do things like that.
Really random.
I was going out with a coworker just to go ghost hunting. And I showed up in front of her apartment and I was blaring the Ghostbusters theme track.
I've done it too. It's why not? I was picking up a mutual friend of ours once, and she didn't want to go to work, but she asked me to drive her, and I had nothing better to do. So I showed up at her house just as a chauffeur, fully like tie suit and fake mustache.
You know, it's these little moments in life that you can just bring so much joy, if not to others, but to yourself.
We named me Jeffrey. Jeffrey got hit on by a woman in a car next door when he was stopped at a light. 'Cause I'm a hot dude.
Oh, Jeffrey.
You're trying to picture it now, right?
Yeah.
I have photos. I'll show you later.
Yeah, I definitely want to see Jeffrey. Do you remember, so when I was 18, my parents had decided that, my dad had decided that I needed to have a very memorable first car.
Yep.
So I got a hand-me-down convertible, and when you're 18, that is the best thing that could ever happen to you.
You drove it for one summer.
I need to put that thing back on the road. It still runs.
You do. We need to go driving around town in the convertible again.
I already told my dad I am now having a midlife crisis, and I want to get that thing back on the road.
It was so fun.
It was so much fun. But do you remember the old lady that flipped us off in the car next to us?
Yeah, I do.
We had just been driving. We were coming from the movies or something.
Something like that.
and we were just driving. I am a safe driver.
Sure.
And
Slow driver, she means.
she flipped me off. In the middle of the highway, she flipped me off and drove past me, and I was wondering, what the hell?
Yep.
Oh, fun times in that car.
That car was fun.
That car was fun.
There's a lot of air in your face when you sit in the back.
Yeah, probably pretty bad gas mileage, too.
I remember
now.
the first time you picked a friend of ours and myself up. We had long hair, and we were sitting in the back together, and we couldn't handle it because there's so much wind. Our hair was going everywhere. We made you stop at the dollar store to pick up hair ties so that we could put our hair out of our faces.
I know. That was funny, because I've had short hair for a very long time. So it never bothered me.
You didn't even think about warning us.
No, and you guys just sat in the back and you looked like the Chewbacca's with the hair over the face.
It was awful. With wind rash for sure.
Wind rash, yeah. Well, sucks to be you.
Yeah, you and your cars.
Oh, I do like my cars.
So speaking of cars, I guess we should tell the story of the next few stories are the drive stories. So
yeah, I guess we do spend a lot of time in my cars.
So we'll transition, I guess, to the graveyard story, which is apparently a pretty popular story of ours. Yeah,
I think our graveyard story is one of the more popular ones.
Yeah, probably. Everybody keeps telling us to share it, so let's share it.
Okay.
So it was in the winter, dark. And it gets dark here at 5 p.m. earlier. We had gone to the movies. We finished early. It must have been 7 p.m. It was not that late.
Yeah, no, we wanted to do something else.
Yeah, we wanted to do something else, but there's nothing to do in this town, especially in the winter when it's dark and cold and you're all miserable. So we got into the car. It was you and I and our mutual friend. And we said, let's just drive. And for some reason, one of us suggested going to a graveyard.
I think that was me. I don't know who suggested it. I'm thinking it was me.
Yeah, because we had gone for Chinese food, and you had leftover bonbons in the car still.
Mm-hmm. And I forget how we got onto the topic of graveyards.
But we did.
And I think the only one that I knew of
that would be open
was the one that my great-grandma was buried at.
Which is also about 40-minute drive out of the city, where there are a lot of trees and no street lights, and you cackled the entire drive, and there were shovels in your back of the car, which was a little frightening.
It was snowing. You always have to have shovels when it snows. What happens if you ditch it?
But the cackle, there was just this really maniacal laugh that we had never heard before the whole time we were driving out there. And we get there, this graveyard, very small little field with a couple trees.
Yeah.
And one singular roadway going in and then out. No lights whatsoever.
I thought there was one big-ass lamp right at the front of the graveyard.
Maybe, but all the pictures I have are your car lights.
Yeah, I know. I was shining my car lights into the graveyard to see, because it wasn't plowed all the way in.
No.
So it was
and everything was
a little
ice. It was very icy.
So icy. But I was determined to walk into this graveyard to at least visit my great-grandmother's grave, because I'm there. Why not go do it?
But you also had no idea where it was.
I had no idea where it was.
When we say little graveyard, there's maybe 50 graves.
There's maybe 50. And I remember whereabouts she was buried, but I wasn't sure exactly where.
So you started crawling around with your phone light in the dark. Mm-hmm. And there's this whole graveyard is surrounded by a fence, and then you came back and you said there are dogs on the other side of the fence, and we could hear them growling and barking. So you went back to the car and grabbed the bonbons and then disappeared back into the darkness, and we stood there listening to you go, "Here, puppy, puppy, have a bonbon," and then saw gigantic dogs, which were probably wolves or coyotes, running back and forth on the fence eating your bonbons that you were chucking at them.
See, I thought they were coming through the fence. And as they were barking at me, I was like, well, maybe if I fed them something, they'd shut up and leave me alone. Hence why I grabbed the bonbons.
We were pretty sure you were going to be one of those bonbons.
No, they were... Okay, I know you guys think that they were wolves.
They were wolves.
Wolves don't bark at you like dogs.
It wasn't barking. It was growling. Could have been coyotes.
It could have been coyotes. I strictly remember them being dogs.
Sure.
They were dogs. They have to be dogs.
Uh-huh.
I'm alive. You're alive. We all made it out of that incident okay.
Yeah, well, we were listening to you feed the quote-unquote dogs. We realized you locked the car and had the keys with you, so that was great. So even if she had been eaten, we would not have made it very far.
I think it was around 10 o'clock at night, too, when we finally got out there.
Yeah, it got late.
It got late.
Yeah, fun story.
Yeah. Hey, we made it out alive. You guys were able to get back in the car. I wasn't eaten by dogs.
Dogs, air quotes.
Yeah, sure. Dogs, air quotes. But we made it out alive.
Uh-huh.
Hey, that's all. You're alive.
You were so proud of yourself.
I was. I'm still proud of myself.
We were so creeped out.
I still want to take you to a graveyard in the middle of the night with shovels in the back for no particular reason.
I mean, no thanks.
I visit graveyards with you all the time.
During the day.
We should go at night.
I don't think we can go to most of them at night.
I know one we can go to.
We are not going there at night.
You want to play a Ouija board? Let's play the Ouija board.
No.
We'll talk to my great grandma.
I want to do the Ouija board here in your house because
No.
it freaks you out.
It does. A Ouija board is never going to be in my house.
It was in your house, remember? Your Ouija board mouse pad?
That's hidden somewhere in a corner because it is not coming to light.
Well,
If you want to play a Ouija board, I will play a Ouija board with you in the middle of the night on a full moon in the graveyard.
That's very specific.
It needs to be specific.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so driving with Bailey usually results in some crazy situation or me yelling at her to drive faster, like just the other day when you were driving too slow down the road.
It was Christmas.
It was not Christmas.
Was it New Year's?
It was New Year's.
It was New Year's. Okay, so that was only a couple days ago. Oops. You gotta drive slow. The police were out. We saw someone get pulled over.
You were going under 10 kilometers slower than the speed limit.
I was going 70 and an 80, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember when we went camping and the transport trucks were passing you on the highway?
Okay, but the transport trucks speed.
Uh-huh.
Like fucking wildfire, they speed.
And you turtle along.
I do, and you know what? We always get to our destinations safely.
And painfully.
That's only because you don't bring snacks.
Oh, so slow. So slow. I've passed you on the highway before where you're trucking along like a little old granny and I'm tempted to flip you off because you're going so slow.
You know what? Maybe you should drive more like a granny because that just means I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying
hanging your arm out the side of the window. Like, I wonder who that is. Oh, hey, it's Bailey.
Yeah, of course. I hang my arm out the side of the window and I blast the tunes and I truck along. It is fun to drive.
Uh-huh.
But you have to drive like that.
Sure, yeah. Or you can take your friends down an abandoned, not so abandoned logging road in the middle of nowhere.
That was never my intention when we went. I thought it was going to be a quick in and out.
Yeah, okay. So the long anticipated story. I guess we should talk about why we were there in the first place. So what was this YouTube series you were trying to start?
So I, before, had tried to start a YouTube series that was based around scenic points in our town. So I would go to conservation areas. We have a lot of lakes and falls and outdoorsy places. So I was going there and giving people a view of said places and trying to give any history or lore that I could to kind of promote them, because we do live in quite a scenic area. Mm-hmm. So I had discovered that close to where we are, there was an abandoned mining town.
Again, abandoned in air quotes.
And so I thought it would be really cool. I had read of a not so legal way to get in to said mining town.
Mm-hmm, because you wanted to look for ghosts.
Because I wanted to look for ghosts and also give the history and explore and everything like that. And it was an hour, I think, outside of town.
Yeah, at least.
Supposed to be. And then we had to find the place, trek in, and whatever else. So needless to say, I showed up, I picked up Ricky, and we went on this little adventure.
And we got to this quote-unquote abandoned mining town, which was not so abandoned and was actually an active blasting site.
Yeah, so our plans kind of backfired because we didn't want to head into an active blasting site. I am prepared to do a little bit of illegal, but not like illegal.
Yeah, that was a bit much. That was like a life or death illegal.
That was like life or death illegal, and I don't do that. So as we had been driving out, I had spotted a sign for a conservation area, and usually when you see signs with trees and a lake and it says conservation area, you're almost guaranteed to hit a lake. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, we're already out here. We drove all this way. Why don't we just go find this lake, this conservation area?
And how did that go?
I started following the signs.
And the signs took us for a ride.
They did. Google Maps wouldn't work.
We had no cell phone service.
We had no cell phone service.
Had no food. We had no beverages. It was just us in a car.
I had fishing rods and I had shovels in the back. We would have survived.
Not without water.
Dude, there was water all around. Just in a puddle.
I ain't drinking puddle water.
Or swamp water. There's swamp water too. But anyway, we go down this road and it turns out to be an active logging road.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
And we got stopped by some dudes in a truck, and they warned us that there was this really big logging truck coming down the road, so just to watch our speed, and if we hit it, pull off to the side.
Yeah, because it was like a single lane road, like meant for logging trucks to go in and come out.
Yeah.
And we were in
your little car.
My little Suzuki. My little Suzuki.
And they looked at us kind of funny, but they didn't even question why we were there or what we were doing.
No, they didn't ask us any questions. They were just like, yeah, be careful.
And they looked kind of weird, and they're like, okay, yeah, bye.
So we started going down this logging road in my Suzuki, and it is like, you need a 4x4 to go down these roads. Mm-hmm. That little car did wonders. I did tear the bottom off of that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Going down that road. But we started driving down, and we were wondering where this conservation area is. We drove for 3 hours?
At least, yep.
At least.
Because it was an 8-hour total drive.
And we did pass the logging truck at one point.
Mm-hmm. And he just kind of waved at us, and that was that.
Yeah, like, it's not weird to see a little Suzuki car in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
Apparently not. Apparently that happens a lot around here.
Apparently. And so every time we thought we might be getting somewhere, it just ended up being more road.
It was one straight, long dirt road. And I was recording it because we were trying to make a YouTube video. So there was probably about 6 to 7 hours of footage of me sitting in a car being unhappy.
Yeah, which I lost because I was not very well organized. I have just started trying to get organized within the past 3 years.
Yeah.
But I lost that footage. But we did end up actually getting to the conservation area.
We did.
Not the lake, but the area.
The lake was surrounded by very high grass and trees and shrubs and ticks.
Yeah. Wasn't it an hour hike from the spot we were at?
Yeah, something like that.
So we ended up finding, literally you drive down this logging road for 3 hours and you hit a little stand in the middle of the bush. I think I still have pictures. Mm-hmm. And it talks about birch trees.
Yep.
That's what we drove 3 hours to find. And it was this little information booth about birch trees.
And that's it.
And that's it. And from that point, you're supposed to hike to the lake.
Not happening.
And it wasn't happening. I was amazed we got back in a timely manner.
I'm surprised we got back.
I am too. It was very picturesque. At least we got back.
Mm-hmm. It was also forest fire season, and it was very dry, and we were kind of like, what happens if we see a forest fire? Like, what do we do? Because we were in a pretty remote area.
But we didn't. We just tore the bottom off my car.
Whoops.
I know I got back home that night, and my mom asked what we had done, and I told her. Mm-hmm. And she then proceeded to freak out and say, why didn't you tell me where you were going? What happens if you had gotten stuck? And I was like, Ricky's mom knew where we were.
Yeah, my mom knew roughly where we were going. When we got back, I told her we went down this logging road. And her response, the complete opposite to Bailey's mom, was to rip out the old maps, find out where we were. And she was curious because we had turned around and didn't follow the road all the way through, but she wanted to know where the road went. So we went through the old old logging maps and realized we could have continued down the road and would have ended up back where we started.
Yeah, I'm thinking
we're not doing it again.
We should totally do it again.
We're not doing it again.
I have a higher car.
I could see the look in your eyes. You're like, we should go out there again. No.
Somebody will.
Yeah, okay, but not on me.
I'll tape your picture.
Thanks.
Into the car.
Thanks. I feel loved. Have fun.
Just like we hid your pictures the other day.
Yeah, so the other day, we are recording this a little in advance.
Yeah, a little in advance, right after New Year's. So we'll leave you with our New Year's story.
Yes.
Of what we have done to our friend.
So my really good friend from elementary school, who became your friend in high school, was recently engaged in the summer, and they just moved in together on the 1st of January this year, so that's very exciting.
Mm-hmm. So they had decided to host a New Year's party
in his place, because he lived
but
there.
her new place, and they had a disco ball and they had everything. So we decided to go over there for New Year's. And what did you pull me into?
Yeah, okay, but first you need to know there was almost 20 people there. It was a big crowd, so it was a little bit easy for us to sneak around. And
easy for me. You didn't really do a good job.
Yeah, because I was on watching our friend duty. So I had jokingly said to our friend that I would put a picture of my face up in her new house because she needs to see my face every day. And she thought I was kidding, and I could tell she thought I was kidding, and I realized I make a lot of these sorts of silly threats and I never follow through, so I followed through. And I printed out 72 pictures of my face, little tiny mini pictures of my face. I cut them all out. I labeled them out of 72, and we had 2 different colors, so I went with purple and you went with red, and we each took 36 and had a little challenge to see who could hide more of my face in their house, and I think you won.
I won. I was on it.
Yeah,
like, she was showing us around the house, and I was already stashing them.
You were really on it.
I was really on it.
You put them in all the keyholes of all the doors.
I'm curious to see if she found them all. Yeah, they were in all the keyholes. I hid them in all the keyholes. If you're listening to this, you know who you are.
You may come on the podcast in the future, but we're not saying your name yet. Just
not yet. But you know who you are. And if you haven't found the pictures I hid underneath all your toilet paper rolls and all your washcloths.
In your washcloth.
In your washcloths.
In between your shampoo bottles.
In the piano. In the upper part of your door. On your fridge.
Yeah, in your medicine cabinet in the bathroom. Sorry.
Also under your sink.
Under your rugs.
Under your rugs.
In your cupboards.
Yeah.
In your closets.
In your closet, in your dresser drawers.
In the blinds of your window. On your air conditioner.
I also hid one upside down behind the DJ station booth.
Oh, yeah.
That one blended in really well, so I'm not sure if she found it.
I shoved a lot in between the couch cushions.
Yes, I did that too. So I'm not sure if you found all of them, but if you haven't, those are the places we put them.
Last count was at 24, so she may have found a good substantial amount.
A substantial amount. Not all of them.
I'm sure there'll be one they'll find in 5 or 6 months from now, and they'll be like, it's her face again.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
I hit them well.
We're never going to be allowed back there.
No, we're not.
So after this night of us fooling around, there's all these people, right? And we kept sneaking off into the other rooms to grab and eat chips while hiding my face everywhere, and we both had a lengthy time in the bathroom.
Yeah, hiding your face in the bathroom.
Yeah, when we left, I handed her what was left of my stack, and I said, have fun.
And then I had thought the downstairs apartment was also theirs, so I had hid some on my way down.
Yeah.
To which she was
a little freaked out.
A little freaked out because apparently that's not her stuff. So some rando would have found your face.
Oops.
In their stuffy collection.
Yeah.
But we got them out, so it was fine. And then she made me empty all my pockets to make sure I didn't have anything else to leave on my way out.
She's definitely going to be doing a search every time we go in there.
Oh, most definitely.
We're going to have to be clever next time.
We're going to have to be clever.
And then, yeah, her fiance, we ran into him, and I said, by the way, my face is all over your house. And he just thought it was hilarious.
Yep, he did. he thought it was hilarious.
You're welcome. So yeah, we'll find out how many of my face they did manage to find. I mean, they're all labeled. They should know if they have them or not. So
yeah, they should. We'll see how many she comes up with the next time we see her. I mean, I should be careful because she could be hiding her face around my house.
Yeah, it could be. I already have.
Have you?
On your phone and your iPad.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how you could do things so quickly with technology.
Yeah, Bailey went to the bathroom for, 5 seconds, and I had put my face as her screensaver on her iPad and her phone in the same amount of time.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it takes me 5 minutes to change my background.
Yep.
You're still the background actually on my iPad.
Yeah, because you can't figure it out and you refuse to look it up. It's really easy. It takes 5 seconds.
I know. I'll probably figure that out at some other time.
No, you just want to look at my face.
No. So that'll be it for our story time today. Give us a review. 5 stars would be nice. Constructive criticism is always appreciated.
Be polite.
Next time, we are going to dive in to archaeological conspiracies. So a little bit more in Raquel's wheelhouse.
There'll be a lot of me talking.
And we are watching Ancient Apocalypse with Graham Hancock. Mm-hmm. The first episode, which is called Once There Was a Flood.
Yep.
So yeah, if you want to hear us debate on that a little bit, talk about it, then tune in. Cheers. That's all for today. Catch us on Instagram where we drop teasers for the next show and our Discord account. Links are down below.